Okay.
Good. Can I start, sir?
Okay, start.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, sir. My name is Madhavi, pairing roll number 210118061 from Meteorological Department. So my topic is on linkages between economic and environmental outcomes. So next slide. So here's the table of contents of my presentation. First one is the introduction, and we'll understand about the economic outcomes and the environmental outcomes. So how the economic activities affect the environment and the vice versa, the environmental factors in how the environmental factors will influence the economy. And the case studies, the sustainable and economic growth, and all those, the challenges, barriers, future trends, and the last one is the conclusion. Next slide. So coming to introduction, economic growth and environment are closely connected. As we know, while economic activities helps a country grow, they also cause problems like pollution and also the deforestation. So the main goal is to find a balance between the economic development and the environmental stability. So this is the introduction, and the next slide. So now let us understand the economic outcome and the environment outcome and the linkage between that. First was one is the economic outcome. So in that economic outcome actually refers to how well a country or a business is growing in terms of the jobs and production. So the economic outcomes include the growth in industries, the jobs, and the GDP. And the environmental outcomes, it actually refers to the impact that an economic activities have caused on the nature. So the environmental outcomes are like pollution, the resource depletion, and the climate change. The linkage between this economic and environmental outcomes is that the industries use natural resources that actually impacts on the environment. Next slide. So next comes is the how economic activities affect the environment. First is that in economic activities, the main comes is the industrialization. So if we use more factories, that may lead to the more pollution and the deforestation. The cutting trees and the land for the land development may harm the biodiversity. And the coming to the climate change is that more emissions leads to extreme weather conditions. This is how the economic activities may affect the environment. Next slide. So in the vice versa, we can also see that how the environment factors that influence the economy. So the environment factors such as natural factors like the natural disasters that may disrupt the industries and businesses that may lead to a larger economic loss, and the resource scarcity that may make the resource scarcity may also make the raw materials expensive, and the pollution that increase the healthcare cost and affect the productivity. Next slide. So next comes in this economic growth and environment prediction, we'll see some case studies. In that one is in China. We can also that in the China there is a rapid growth in industrialization. So because of this industrialization, there is a rapid economic growth in that, but it also faces a very severe pollution problems. So as much there is an economic growth, but also it has but it also has a more pollution problems. So on the other hand, Sweden that has balanced the green economy model with clean energy systems. So in these two examples, we can see that the China has a more economic growth but less environment protection. But in Sweden, it actually adopted a green economy model that involves the renewable energy. With this, it has a balance between the economic growth as well as the economic environment protection. Next slide. So comes to the coming to the role of energy in economic and environmental linkages, that one is fossil fuels that supports the mainly economy, but actually it causes more pollution. It comes to the renewable energy. So these renewable energy sources are very environment friendly, but the starting investment is much higher in this renewable energy. So the solution is that we have to shift from green energy to long term sustainability. So next slide. So in sustainable economic growth, there is a green economy. So in that green economy means we can grow the economy without harming the environment. Like we use the electric vehicles, by using the electric vehicles, solar farms and energy efficiency buildings. so that we can use the more sustainable energy without affecting the environment. Next slide. So coming to the government policies and regulations, so we have so many industries that have been increasing the pollution. If the government has can put some regulations like carbon tax on the industries, so which are releasing more pollution, so that they can reduce the emissions. And the one other one is the Paris Agreement to reduce the global warming, and the internal agreements we can see. And next comes is the corporate responsibilities and green business practices. Like nowadays, more companies such as Tesla and Apple has been investing in sustainability. For example, the Tesla has been promotes the electric vehicles so that so that the people will reduce dependence on the fossil fuels. Next is the corporate social responsibility that initiates the helps companies investment in eco-friendly practices while maintaining the profitability. Next slide. Next comes is the role of technology in balancing an economy environment. So the technologies like AI and that optimize the energy usage and reduce waste. The green technologies helps industries more sustainable and can become the more sustainable. So the challenges in this are first one is the high cost because of these eco-friendly projects. If we are investing in the sustainable projects such as renewable sources, it leads to very high cost. Next is the resistance from industries that don't want to change, lack of strict regulations in some countries. Like if we put some strict regulations from the government side, like carbon taxes, the industries can reduce more emissions. So in the next slide, the future trends and opportunities. In this, we can see that there's a circular economy. We can use 3 Rs, that is reduce, reuse, and recycle. We can reduce the uh, materials that have been harming the environment, and we can make to reuse the sustainable sources, and we can recycle them to use it. And more green jobs are such as renewable energy growth, sustainability in the future, economic growth, and environment protection that can work together. So that's so this topic we can conclude that economy and environment are interconnected. So the generally is that we have to balance between the economy and the environment by using sustainable sources, and a balance is possible if all the stakeholders work together. That's it.